Everything happens for a reason. What if the pain you're facing today is preparing the soil for a future you can't yet see? What if every setback is not punishment, but a redirection? And what if the very thing you think is ruining your life is saving it in disguise? In a forest where the leaves whispered old wisdom and the earth carried the scent of time, a young man named Vineet wandered with tears in his eyes and despair in his heart. He had come seeking peace, but he brought with him a broken spirit. Not long ago, on his journey through these woods, robbers had ambushed him, taking everything he carried: gold, savings, the reward of years of labor. Now, all he had was the dust on his feet, and sorrow too heavy for his shoulders. Eventually he found a clearing where an old sage sat cross-legged beneath a tree, as if the world itself had slowed to meet his stillness. The sage looked up as Vineet approached. "My son," he asked gently, "why do your eyes carry such weight?" Vineet dropped to his knees. "Holy man, I've been robbed. Everything I had is gone. I was on my way to build a better life, and now I have nothing." The sage listened, nodding, and then, with a calm that made the trees seem quieter, he said, "Whatever happened to you has happened for your good." Vineet's face twisted in disbelief. "For my good? How can you say that? I've lost everything. All my dreams, stolen in an instant. You speak as if misfortune were a gift." The sage's eyes didn't flinch. Instead, he said, "Let me tell you a story, one that may help you see what you cannot yet understand." In a village not far from here, the sage began, there lived a humble farmer named Prasad. His family had grown rice for generations. His fields were golden with tradition, but one summer, a great fire swept through the forests. The wind changed, and the fire reached Prasad's land. In hours, it reduced his entire rice crop to ash. Everything he had worked for, gone. He stood in his field, staring at the blackened earth, wondering if the gods had turned against him. But fate, child, is not always cruel. Sometimes, it simply clears the way. A few days later, a traveler came through the village. He was known as the seed sower, a quiet man who wandered from town to town, carrying seeds not of pity, but of potential. Seeing the farmer's ruined land, the traveler offered him something strange: tomato seeds, beans, cucumbers, spinach. "You've lost your rice," he said, "but maybe something new can grow here." With nothing left to lose, Prasad accepted, and day by day he learned how to plant, how to care, how to begin again. To everyone's surprise, the vegetables thrived. The soil, once stripped bare by fire, had become rich with nutrients, and what rose from it was abundance. Tomatoes like rubies, beans like strings of emerald, colors and profits he had never imagined. His harvest sold for more than rice ever did. Other villagers followed his lead, and Prasad, once burned by loss, became the symbol of a new beginning. He often looked at the horizon and whispered, "The fire didn't destroy me, it prepared me." Back beneath the forest tree, the sage looked at Vineet. "Do you see now? Sometimes life must clear the familiar to make space for the miraculous." But Vineet still looked unconvinced. "I understand the story, but I'm not a farmer. I've lost real wealth, not crops, not seeds. What good can come of this?" The sage smiled and reached into his old satchel. He pulled out something that glinted in the light. A diamond, large, pure, unexpected. He placed it in Vineet's hand. "This diamond," he said, "was found on a journey long ago. It serves no purpose for me, but perhaps it does for you." Vineet stared in disbelief, and in that instant, the pieces fell into place. Had he not been robbed, he never would have wandered into the forest. Had he not suffered loss, he never would have met the sage. And had he not met the sage, he would have missed this moment of truth, this story, and this diamond, far more valuable than what was stolen. He bowed deeply, tears of sorrow turning to tears of gratitude. Sometimes, the universe doesn't take from you, it reroutes you. When Vineet returned to his village, he sold the diamond for a fortune, more than he had ever dreamed of possessing. But more importantly, he carried with him a changed spirit. He invested not just in himself, but in others. He helped fund schools, supported local farmers, and planted gardens, literal and symbolic, in every corner of his community. The loss that had broken him had become the door to a life far greater than he had planned. Moral of the story: sometimes, what looks like a dead end is a disguised beginning. What feels like theft is simply redirection. Loss may visit you without warning, but so can blessings, in forms you would never expect. The fire clears the field, the theft leads to wisdom, the broken path becomes the most beautiful one. Whatever happens in life, even when it feels cruel, carries within it the seed of something better, if we choose to see it. If this story touched your heart, If you've ever questioned why something happened, remember this: it happened for a reason. Not always clear, not always instant, but always with purpose. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Whispers Within, because here, we don't just tell stories, we uncover the deeper meaning in life's quiet turns. And as you walk through your own season of loss or doubt, trust this: sometimes the road you didn't want to take leads to the place you were always meant to arrive.